the lost empire of Africa. There is this small country in Africa that has so much history, that have done so much for West Africa and Africa as a whole, that the history is lost or is laid buried in books and nobody is talking about it. It has not gotten the media hype that Greece is having, the UK, the America and the rest, even Egypt are having in Africa. And this country is Sierra Leone. How I wish that the Sierra Leoneans themselves would be so proud of their country, of their rich heritage, of what they have done, not just for themselves, but for the entire West Africa and Africa as a whole, because they shipped Western civilization, they shipped education, they shipped financial institutions, they shipped love, they shipped what had you to other countries. They did a lot for the entire Africa, and they did not do so by expecting anything for this African country, but they did so just with the love of their fellow Africans, and that is what they have done. But I guess what? So lie the history in books, buried, rotten, that Sierra Leoneans themselves would question when you get to talk about this rich history of their country, that they will be like, are you sure? Do you know what Sierra Leone had done? Sierra Leone was the Athens of Africa. When we say Athens, we are talking of the Greek civilization. They referred to Sierra Leone as the Athens of West Africa. This is the cradle, birthplace of civilization in Africa. Sierra Leoneans gave their all for the freedom of other African countries. I know when they talk about independence of Africa, most of you would be like, Ghana had its independence first and Ghana was fighting for the liberation of other African countries. Yes, Kwame Nkrumah did as much as he could, but before Kwame Nkrumah was people from Sierra Leone like the ITA Wallace Johnsons, like the Dove and the rest who left Sierra Leone at those early hours, came to Ghana. We are so radical. Like the J.B. Dankwa's wife, Miss Dove, who was radical in her approach, that they started this media and radical approach to the white colonies, to the colonial master, and challenged them, because the Sierra Leoneans had lived hard overseas. They've seen everything they were supposed to see. Just like how people talked about the First World War, how it opened Africans' eyes. Those who went to fight the First World War, what they saw there made them feel lower of the white. So also are the Sierra Leoneans who started the fight for the emancipation of the entire Africa. They came to Ghana, established institutions like the press. Ghana had no press. It took Mr. Dove to move from Sierra Leone to come to Ghana as a clerk to the colonial master to establish a press in Ghana. And that is a part of press in Ghana. That is press history I'm giving you today. So Sierra Leoneans have done a lot, but nobody talks about it. It's like what one time professor of the University of Ghana said, that this history of Sierra Leone, what they have done for Ghana, for Nigeria, for the Gambia and the rest of the entire Africa would be forgotten by the new generation. I'm telling you. Hardly do people know about Sierra Leone. But all I'm saying is, if you happen to be a Sierra Leonean, be proud of who you are. Say it out to them. I have done a lot. I was there for you. It is indeed true that today you may want to question Sierra Leone's stand when it comes to developed countries in Africa. But I want you to understand this. The white man understood who Sierra Leoneans are, that they had it within their blood, this fighting spirit for the entire Africa. So what they did, they trampled upon the new generation of Sierra Leoneans. They were able to mingle among them and grab one or two of them, and that I refer to as the politicians. And that is how come they brought in the war. You call it civil war? It had nothing to do with civil, because the fighters themselves were not Sierra Leoneans. Burkinabés and mercenary from other countries, just for the rich history, just for the resources, the diamonds, the gold of this country. And when I say they should be proud, and then came Ebola. Ebola ravished the country. So They have stood tall during the war, also through Ebola. They didn't ask for Western aid. They were barricaded by even their neighbors, not to talk of Western countries. They fought it themselves, just like they fought slavery single-handedly. So also they fought the Ebola, the Civil War, and the rest. And today they are who they are, Sierra Leoneans. As much as they may not be there economically, we ought to recognize this fact. Greece is no longer the super world power, but we all give them kudos for what they have done. So also is Egypt. We all give them kudos for their role they've played in life. So should we give to Sierra Leoneans.